The way that I was raised was I didn't know anything but Christian faith. But it wasn't until Seth came to know Jesus that I had more of a recognition of Jesus's role in my faith.
My dad was a musician, started playing guitar, we started a band. But the first time that I went into a recording studio with our band was the first time that I saw that side of it. But I remember leaving the studio and being like, that's what I want to do. Especially being in the music scene, I started smoking pot and got to a point to where that's all I was caring about.
I wanted him to stop because it was illegal, and I wanted the kids to know who their father was present. I randomly was led to Jude. This said, they scoff at what they do not understand, like unreasoning animals, they give in to the desires of the flesh.
I read Jude and was one of the first moments that I felt convicted for what it's saying, for how I was living my life. I remember feeling this light switch just like come on in my heart.
And that night felt like God had
Just brought our souls together.
We were married for the first time that night. That made me question myself. Am I saved? Because to date, I don't have that moment where Christ was all of a sudden in my heart. But specifically when I came to the realization that Christ, he truly did die, and faith that he truly did rise from the dead. So I know that Christ is alive in my life because I am daily giving my life back to Christ, and he is daily showing me he's still there.
I did a record with a friend up near Chicago, and he brought in his friend Taylor, and he was flying in from Jacksonville. And we spent 2 weeks together, just made a record. It was a great time. We were talking about moving for a while. We were just going through so much up where we were up in Crown Point, up in Indiana. We were just going through so much.
It was like our oldest daughter got injured during an event, and as soon as she went back to her first practice, she re-broke her ankle. And our youngest daughter had a medical emergency, and we ended up in the hospital with her. Another daughter had a random medical emergency, and she was in the hospital. And then they were missing school because of this, and it was like, spiritual warfare is how I would 100% describe it. January of 2024, I went to see my friend. She said, I'm moving to Tampa. And she's like, here's what I'm going to tell you to pray. God, settle our hearts to stay or give us some direction on where you want us to be.
Just through all of that, we decided to take a family trip to go look at homes in Florida. And we came and saw this house. And
we were like, we could make this work. Our house sold the first week on the market. All right, we're moving.
It was about a week later that I told a friend, and he's like, that's where Taylor lives. I call him, and we just start having this God talk, and 1122 comes up in the conversation.
And the very first sermon we went to at 1122 was the kickoff of spiritual warfare and putting on the full armor of God. That sermon was everything we had experienced, all the trust that we had put in God to guide us. And this is what I had been shouting from the mountaintops, and at home I was like, this is all spiritual warfare, like we've got to find God in all of this. And then we decide to make this huge move, which puts, his career in jeopardy. Yeah. It's like, so it was a lot of things that were countercultural, I would say, like leaving it all behind to pursue what it is that God has in store for you. But now we're at a place where we're like, all right, but God moved us here. What does he want?
The joy from living in a way that pleases God and not yourself feels so authentic and real.
In terms of countercultural, the outcome is always so much greater and more peaceful and so much more fulfilling on the other side of being obedient.